Buenos días, clase de español. This is Señor Irvin, and this is a quick lesson on something called noun-adjective agreement, and it's part of our ropa unit. You have been introduced to this in several different ways, but now it's time to go ahead and get a good grasp of how to do this so that you're able to go ahead and describe any kind of nouns using adjectives in the correct way. Okay? By now you understand, and let me go ahead and switch slides here, that all nouns in Espanol are either feminine or masculine. So I'm going to pick a feminine noun right now, la blusa, and I'll also have a masculine down for my list down here, which is our vocab list, el calcetín. Cool. And we know that feminine nouns begin with la, and masculine nouns begin with el. That's easy enough, right? See? We also know that we can make this plural, la blusa, to make it las blusas if we wanted to, and it just means more than one blouse. And calcetín, we can make it into los calcetines. Los calcetines. And so not only did the noun change, and we added this s here, we added an es here, we also had to change the articles, okay? Because in Espanol, the articles also change. This is all important to know because we need to make sure that when we use nouns and adjectives in a sentence or just in a description, that they need to go ahead and agree with each other. And what we're talking about agreement is something called, and I'll put this up here, they need to agree in gender. Is it masculine or is it feminine? And they also need to agree in number. Is it singular or is it plural? Both of those things, gender and number, are essential when you're going to go ahead and use a noun and an adjective, whether it's in a sentence, as I said before, or you're going to go ahead and just give a little quick description of something, okay? In English, this really doesn't exist. For example, if I wanted to go ahead and say, use the word blouse here, and use this word over here, cheap, okay, or inexpensive, I just say a cheap blouse, or inexpensive blouse. And if it was more than one blouse, I would just say cheap blouses, okay? Or cheap socks. Bueno? So it doesn't really change in English. Nothing changes actually. In Espanol, basically all of it does change. Bueno? Cool. So let's just start off with the word blusa and go from there. Let's use blusa and let's use one of these adjectives here. Let's just use the word barato, which means cheap. Okay? And what you'll notice, first of all, is that in English, we say the cheap blouse. That's the order that we put things in. In Espanol, we're going to say the blouse cheap. Now, we're not going to say the blouse is cheap. We're actually saying the blouse cheap. Okay, so let's try that again. So we have la blusa, and let's make it, put the word barato in there, but we need to make sure that it matches both in gender and in number. So what we have to do with the word barato, as in my vocab list here, it says, oh, this has to be barata. Now, this is perfect. This says the cheap blouse. La blusa barata. If I wanted to make it an expensive blouse, of course I would use the word expensive down here, which is caro, but I changed it into the feminine form, and I make la blusa cara. Be sure to not go la cara blusa, because that is incorrect. And also make sure that this doesn't look like this, la blusa caro, because that is also incorrect. They need to match in gender and number. So why don't we use a masculine noun? Now, let's move this over here. This is perfect. Let's use el calcetín as our example for a masculine noun, calcetín. And then let's use a color with calcetín. It is masculine, it has the word el in there, the sock, just one sock. And so now let's pick a color. Let's do yellow, okay? So we're going to say the yellow sock. That'd be interesting. El calcetín amarillo. It matches in both gender and number. So amarillo is masculine and calcetín is masculine, and they are both singular. Okay, so let's make things interesting now by making this plural. How about we add more than one blouse? We change this to las blusas, and we must change also the word expensive here. I'm sorry, expensive, to caras. Las blusas caras. And down here, if we change calcetín to los calcetines, then amarillo must also be plural too, because it needs to match in number too. So los calcetines amarillos. Awesome. Cool. All right. So hopefully you have an idea about how to do this. Okay. Bueno, that is it. Adios, hasta la vista. There's an activity to do after this.